Hello, everyone, and welcome to Take Your Time, a Persona podcast in which we are playing Persona 3 Reload in real time along with the in-game calendar. I'm your host for this week, Jonathon Dornbush, joined, as always, by Tom Marks. Tom, how you doing?
I am okay. It's just an enthusiastic sideways thumb.
I'll take it. That's, better than me most days, so I
No.
appreciate that.
For context for folk, I'm going to sound a little funny. I'm just a little hoarse right now. I just got back from an event. I've got a teeny bit of a cold I'm getting over. So I'm going to be a little bit off sounding today. That's all.
It was your weekly Screamo death metal concert, right? That
Don't tell everyone. Gosh.
They're gonna find out eventually, Tom. You guys are gonna blow up someday. That would be incredible if you had been hiding that your whole life. We are maybe revealing big secrets this week, maybe not. Who's to say? What I can say is we're talking about a pretty normal week in the world of Persona 3 Reload. This is, I think, the most times I've written normal day in our run of show. So we, we'll blow through that pretty quickly, but we do also want to take some time this week to talk about Maya, as we have both completed that social link. So we're going to be talking about that toward the end of the episode. And of course, while things have been easing into a more regular pace this week and last week, we are heading in to the big next full moon operation next week, so get ready. Who knows what's going to happen? Maybe the game just suddenly ends. Who's to say? You'll have to keep playing to find out. But before we get there, we're going to be talking about August 25th through the 31st, wrapping up the month, talking about a normal week and some character moments. But yeah, that's what's happening this week. Of course, before we get into that, want to start things off, we're going to get to our pop quiz answer in just a second. But first, we want to do, as always, our confidant call out, which is a huge thank you and just a huge sign of how much we appreciate those who are supporting us over at patreon.com/takeyourtime at the Palace Ruler tier. So thank you so much to Akechi as a Jelly Bean, Astral Clock Tower, Brody S., Cameron C., Claudia R., Dallas, Damon, Dan F., Danimal Lover 01, Default Titus, Dexter, Keegan H., Michael V., Philip S., Programmer Sid, Sam K., Sarah M., Shade, Willie Wang Wang, and Zachary L. Thank you all so much for supporting us. We so appreciate it. And if you actually go and play that clip of me saying all your names in reverse, I actually spoiled the end of the game. So you should go check that out. It was pretty cool that I did that. Anyway, moving on from there, before we get into the week that is Persona, Tom, you have a pop quiz to quiz us with the answer with. So quiz away with that answer. Quiz.
Last week I asked y'all out there in the world to identify for me 3 names, why I was bringing them up, rather vaguely. Those names were Craig S. Smith, Sharon Waxman, and Catherine Billy. And I said it was on theme, but I didn't say what the theme was. Jonathon, did we get anyone writing in who these human beings were? And I know you immediately knew, so you have it.
Yes, I immediately knew because I had seen them that week. It was actually not until this past week that I had seen them, unrelated to the reason that it is on theme. Like, I just happened to be running around and see the names and go, interesting. And you bringing it up was so serendipitous. Anyway, I do want to read Dan over at the Patreon said, Craig, Shannon, and Catherine are the real names of the Strega trio, obviously. Takaya Jin and the red-haired girl. Not sure if her name has been said in the game yet. And those are just their code names, which was a purposefully wrong answer.
That's a really good answer.
That would be incredible if that was hidden in the game here. But
can you imagine if Takaya's name was literally just like Craig Smith?
Craig Smith, yeah. And now it's time to take down the ultimate villain. Craig Smith.
Maybe we don't know. Maybe Takaya in Japan is like John.
It could be.
Like maybe we just are. Who knows?
Speaking of that, I am going to save you a little fun fact we got in the comments about Afro Ken. But before we get there,
no.
Q Ruddock did get the answer correct.
Nice.
They said the answer for this quiz is they're the movie actors that the posters are shown at the Screenshot movie theater.
Correct.
I believe it's the Friday and a Certain Day movie poster, or could be one for each, which I believe it is.
It is 2 for one of the... There's 3 posters.
Yeah.
2 of the names are on one of them, and then one's on one other, and one doesn't have any names. I knew from very early in this show that I was going to make these movie posters a quiz in some way at some point. And the one of the weeks of the film festival, right in the middle of the film festival, felt like an appropriate time to do it. So I knew, because I also just wanted to read them. I don't know. It feels like they just put something into Google Translate and ended up with the text that is on these movie posters, because it's unhinged. So Craig Smith and Sharon Waxman are on a movie poster for a movie called Detonator, which has the subhead, or like the tagline for that movie is "A troubling trend for a Dutch." Dutch as in like a Dutch person. The second poster, Friday in a Certain Day, is the Catherine Billy one, and the subtitle, there's like a slogan for that one that says, "Fans of a Dutch soccer team, Americans heading off to war are facing."
It seems like they have a lot of problems with the Dutch here.
I like, this is the thing that I just would die to know this story, because why did two of them say Dutch?
That's really weird to me. I don't know what they have against the Dutch people, but if there's two things I can't stand, it's people who are intolerant of other people's cultures and the Dutch.
Boo.
So,
timeless reference. Just a timeless reference right there.
Any line from that movie will make me laugh.
That's Austin Powers 3?
That's Goldmember, yes.
Yeah.
A film that is perhaps the movie I have seen the most in my life, if that gives you any idea of my life.
Incredible.
I used to be able to say it front to back.
Oh my god. Yeah, I feel like those movies maybe didn't age super well, but
some of them do. What's weird is, and obviously we'll get back onto the topic in a minute, weirdly, like Austin is weirdly like a feminist character at the start.
Yeah, I mean, that is what the funny thing about, like, when you have a movie that is making intentionally off-color jokes, it's like, you're not going to ding it for Austin being a chauvinist, because
no, there's
that's
100%.
Like the whole point of the character is that he's awful being a chauvinist.
Yeah, there's like weirdly some good things that did work well, but yeah, there's a lot of stuff that is like, oh boy, that does not fly now. Yeah.
Anyway, maybe that happens with the final movie. The last poster, which didn't have a name on it, was called The More Than Dreamin'. Dreamin', not dreaming. I know these posters. I believe these posters were all in the original game, and they're just like up-resed of the original files, I think. And I would just love to know what, how, why.
I love them. Yeah. You know, maybe that will be the peak of your journalistic career. Getting the scoop.
Finding out why the Foo Fighters are in this game and what those movie posters mean.
I would genuinely love to know, but a mystery for another day. Persona team, if you're listening, number one, we apologize, and number two, feel free to let us know.
I just think it's a very troubling trend for a Dutch. That's all.
Well, while we are concerned about the Dutch, we are also concerned about covering the topics of this week, the dates of August 25th through August 31st. We're ending this month. We're getting into September. We're getting through our summer vacation. And like I said, it's a pretty normal week. I'm not going to sugarcoat it. There are some days here where Tom is going to tell me what he did. I'm going to tell you what I did. And then we're just going to keep on moving.
Yep. Pretty much.
That's how it is.
But that's okay.
Yeah.
There's some stuff to dig into too, especially I'm excited to talk about the Junpei scenes later in this week.
Yes, me too. And we didn't discuss this beforehand. Maybe I should have. I don't know if you want to take them all together or piecemeal as we go. We can figure that out on the fly.
Yeah, we'll figure it out.
Yeah. But speaking of those normal days, the first day, August 25th, is a day and a night. And that's what you do.
It is one of the days in Persona 3.
It is. I can confirm this is a day you must play through. So Tom, what did you do?
One of the days of all time. There is actually... Oh, no. I'm sorry. I'm looking at the wrong day because I had to play a little bit of the following week just to save. Anyway.
That's fair. Yeah.
So I think literally every day this week. Let me just confirm that.
I did very similar things every day.
I think every single day this week in the afternoon when I could take one of my party members to the movies, I just did it.
Nice.
We might have a lot of overlap there. But
I didn't go to the movies at all. So you tell me all about your movie trips. I didn't go to any of them because I went to them last time. So
that's funny. I went with Akihiko to the movies, and we saw the Hidden Fist martial arts series, got up courage, and that's a fun interaction because Akihiko is like, this is probably going to be corny and stupid, not real fighting. And then by the end of it, he's like, I must learn their techniques and become stronger.
Yeah. He gets his inspiration. It's cute. I liked that one a lot. Yeah.
Yeah.
I started this week hanging out with your favorite pal, Suimitsu, and I got him to rank 5.
Okay.
We did a lot.
Sure.
Yeah. You know what? I had this week off, spoilers, and I thought, who should I hang out with? Tom's favorite social link so far.
You're going to get to 10 before I get to 2.
It's very possible. But I hung out with him in the day, and just to cap things off easily, I hung out with Tanaka for rank 3 in the evening.
Cool. So this entire week, I basically prioritized hanging out with the gang. So I also read with Fuka, and I did the reading that got academics up, and then also I got her characteristic for doing that. So that was the 3rd time I'd done that.
Nice. Okay, cool. I pretty soon after this will get that ability as well, and we won't spoil it, but good ability to have.
Yeah.
Moving on from there to August 26th.
So you didn't go to a movie this day.
I did not go to a movie.
How could you? You know what this day is.
Tom, tell the folks what day this is.
This is the you get to go to a movie with the dog day.
Yeah, I know.
Although, tragically, you don't. You bring Koromaru to the movie theater and then are not allowed to actually bring him into the theater.
A reasonable end result.
You try.
Yeah.
You try to sneak him in and then get kicked out. But you gain courage for trying. The funny part is how sad Koromaru is about this. He legitimately is really upset, and you have to be like, we'll buy the DVD when it comes out later. And then he calms down and gets happy again.
Well, he does like to watch stuff at home, so it makes sense.
Yeah.
He's just unfortunately too big a dog. I have seen toy-sized dogs in movie theaters. I have seen people with dogs in their purses or in their sweatshirt pockets in movie theaters. Yeah.
Do you think they hid them or service dog?
No, they hid them. So that was your day.
That was my day.
Yeah. What did I do? I hung out with Suimitsu. What a surprise.
My God.
To get him to rank 6. Let me tell you, without spoiling it, his thing goes places. And so I kind of was just like, let me just experience this again.
Entertaining places? Good places?
Entertaining for sure. Good, debatable. But
okay.
Entertaining, absolutely.
Worth doing. Worth seeing.
I think it is a conversation we should have.
Okay. That's fair. I will put more priority on it.
That's fair. So you get through your day. You went to the movie. You tried to go to the movies. We get to the evening. I wrote down just a little bit of some of the conversations here just because everyone was kind of talking about things. I don't know if the night before there was no one to talk to, but this night everyone seemed to. It was kind of about summer winding down were the conversations.
Yeah, at some point this week you talk about Ken is going to leave, but then that gets resolved later.
Yeah, Yukari is worried about Ken leaving us after the summer. I guess, he'll have to get out of here. I guess is worried about leaving you. Mitsuru is worried about school. Ken, he's resolved to do something. He's feeling resolved after last week, and that's kind of what you get there. Then you have a night. What did you do?
I went to Tartarus. There was really not anything to do. There were no social links. There was no stuff.
I played the Magic game at the arcade because I had so little to do, so I just bumped my Persona's Magic.
Sure.
Yeah, we could just briefly, this is again another sort of, it's the same aesthetic for Tartarus for this portion.
Yeah, and this was I went in full well knowing that they're probably gonna throw another person into Tartarus for me to save, and they did do that this week.
Yeah. But
I had mentioned last week that I wanted to try to do it in a couple sessions, and I had the door, the
monad.
The monad passageway I hadn't done yet, and I knew there was a person to save, and then also this other thing came up with Elizabeth gives you these cats to save, which was a whole thing. So I just said, you know what, I'll get to the person, and I'll
Okay.
save the person, and then I'll go. And that was enough because I was also busy because I had to leave in real life, and so there
Yeah.
was like, yeah, it just felt like, you know what? There was nothing really else much for me to do this week or this night, so I might as well try it out.
I get that. Did you directly go into taking on the Monad Passage, or did you go level up and then tackle it?
No, that was the first one I did. That was
Okay.
the first thing I did, was just go straight in there.
How did you fare?
Well, it was definitely harder fights, but I appreciated that they were harder fights. Like they were satisfying, like challenging. They were not wildly unfair or frustrating or anything like that. And so I liked sort of the level they were at.
Yeah, that's fair. I went through this whole section of Tartarus and then went back just because I hadn't done that with these to see how it would go. Was a cakewalk. It absolutely, really, I would say I probably shouldn't have gone past like the halfway point of this section before going back to keep the challenge up. It was done in like 2 rounds. It was so easy. But
That's funny.
yeah, it's nice to have those, and then you get to the end of it, some nice rewards there.
Yeah, there were some good items. That's where you get the Arcanas.
Yes.
So we got the Temperance Tarot card at the bottom of that, which is cool because I like the idea that you're getting these tarots from a different place. You know, there's a different system because there's 22, but there's only 12 of the big shadows or whatever. And that one is the one that gets you social stats the next day. If you're upping your social stats, it goes, which is funny that it gives you to so late in the game.
Yeah.
But that's okay. It's a neat sort of one. I also just wanted to fight with Koromaru. I was not expecting to get another party member this week, so I was like kind of glad I had a chance to just see Koromaru in action first. And
Absolutely.
I got to see. I love that he's a dog that just has a knife in his mouth.
It's great. What a
Fights
fun
with
thing.
a dagger.
Yeah. I love him.
Yeah, he's great. He's really fun, and he's a cool. We can talk about this with Ken later, but both Ken and Koromaru are interesting in what I've seen because they both have 2 different types of elemental abilities, right? Mm-hmm. Koro has Curse and Fire, which is just that added little bit of flexibility is really nice to have somebody who you can have 2 different weakness targeting things on one person that's not your main character. So it was neat.
Yeah.
Oh, there was also one of the Arcanas is that you get to take 2 shuffle time cards every time, and that one rules.
Every time. You do it every time. There is not a single... I have delayed getting Arcana cards just to get that one because it is so essential to ranking up and XP and money. Yeah.
Yeah. One of the other one you get is like, increase your max HP by 10. And I was like, yeah, sure. And then there's that one. Do you know if that max HP is permanent?
I don't know. I never thought about it.
I'd love to know because I think there's some wording that the stat boost ones are not. Like,
I don't know.
Yeah. If anybody can confirm that in the comments, I would love to know if the max HP Arcana is permanent because it seems like it is.
Yeah.
Because otherwise, also it would be trash if it was
it would
not
be an
permanent.
absolute waste. Yes, yeah. That's why I always took it as fact that it was, but it's good that you're questioning that like a normal person, but I just always was like, it has to be this.
Right, and like, that's the thing is, you never know in games because Persona's not badly designed, right? They don't throw a ton of stupid false choices at you, but there are choices that are poor, and I would not put it past basically any video game to have one of its options just be something you should never do, right? Like that's sometimes games do that intentionally to teach you not to pick something, right? So maybe there's just one of those that's just a kind of a red herring. But
just
if
like life.
yeah, but I don't think that's the case. So I would love if someone could confirm that.
No, absolutely. That's a good call. I really never thought of that. And now that you're saying that, I'm like, I should pay more attention sometimes to these smaller things. But yeah, I'm kind of with you. It is, as we said, I don't think it's a, part of Tartarus we need to belabor the point on. It's nice to have Koromaru. I was leaping ahead to Ken for this week, but it's nice to have Koromaru. And the Monad Passage is a nice way to kind of really... I think test your skills in fun ways. I do think those boss battles tend to be pretty good ones. So
yeah. And then you mentioned it already. It's not a new visual area. But now that I kind of understand that probably like every other time-ish is going... Like it's not going to be as regular as every single full moon. I'm a little bit more prepared for it. And it's not as disappointing or anything this time. Even if it is still a little bit of disappointment.
I get that. But yeah, now you're feeling that pattern. So we'll see where it goes from here.
Exactly.
But cool. Well, moving on from there to August 27th, you get some texts in the beginning of the day, as we did the day before. I haven't been mentioning, but you're getting texts in the morning. Again, it's that thing that was happening last week of, hey, you're not getting to hang out with people from school, so here is a way to kind of help buffer, get you there if you want to with some of them.
Right.
Helpful, but you don't have to. So who did you go to the movies with today?
Today was Junpei Day.
Oh.
I went and saw a superhero movie with Junpei.
Yes. Yeah.
Which got my charm up. Sure. And then in the evening, I went on a walk with Koromaru and Junpei.
What a day. Junpei's having a busy week for you.
He is. And then the really cool thing, though, the thing I wanted to call out about this, is that when you're on the walk, Junpei has dialogue about how it was fun to go see a movie earlier in the day.
Oh, I think I might have done that last time because he's saying that. Yeah.
That's so cool.
Yep.
Like, it's already neat that every time you go on a movie date with somebody, the next day you can talk to them in the first floor lounge and they'll have a little bit of dialogue to mention the movie. But this was like voiced dialogue on this walk cutscene about the movie you saw. Like, that's so cool.
What a tiny, great thing to have. Yeah.
Anyway, that was my day. Junpei Day.
We've said it before, but I do so much praise to this game for, I think, rewarding you specifically with the group because they are not really social links at this point to give you the chance to feel like they matter to your character. It works so well.
Yep.
I spent my day hanging out with Suimitsu and got him to rank 7.
Oh man, I see where this week is
going. I had a date with the Gourmet King that I would not miss. And after that, in the evening, I planted with Fuka on the roof, and that's when she got her new ability for me.
Cool.
Moving on. What?
Well, so this is a question we can identify now, because we both did this week.
Okay.
Without spoilers, was it the weakness buffer?
I wrote it down. Yes.
Okay, so the order... Oh,
it's fine. My light went out. Crazy. It's okay. We're good.
So the you get them from these two different tasks, but the order you unlock them is the same.
Yes.
No matter which one you do.
I believe that
good
is
to know.
Case. Yeah.
Good to know.
But yes, it is a really handy one to have. On to August 28th.
Yes.
Mitsuru knocking at the door, wants a moment to talk to you, just to tell you the chairman's visiting in the evening. It's, again, one of those setup things for later, and then we get into our day before our little evening soiree. So what did you do for the day?
I went and saw the movie with Igus.
Nice.
It was the Ninja Wars movie, which this is, I think... Yeah, this is a thing that's... I think there was a mistake in the game.
Oh.
I think genuinely there's a mistake in the game.
Oh, I don't remember this.
Because the dialogue for when you're watching the movie is like something along the lines of it being, like you learned how to be like a suave ninja or something like that, and then you get academics. And then the next day, and I'll just jump ahead a little bit, the next day's movie is Fuka, and you go see a hard sci-fi movie, and the dialogue is that you learn cutting-edge scientific theories, and you get charm.
Huh.
So I think what happened is they didn't want to give you charm 2 days in a row with Junpei and then Igus, maybe, or something.
Maybe.
And I swear these two should be flipped. It doesn't make any sense based on the dialogue for the ninja one to be academics and the sci-fi one to be charm. And I think it makes a lot of sense for them to be the other way around.
But so you're learning, like the sci-fi one is you're learning, or they're learning hard science stuff?
Yeah, it literally says I learned cutting-edge scientific theories. And then you get charm for that.
Well, whenever you learn something and you're correct in class, you do get charm.
Yeah, maybe. I guess that's the logic.
This game is just saying knowledge is sexy, and I don't see anything wrong with that.
I respect it.
I appreciate it.
Anyway, that's what I did during the day was for the 28th was saw that ninja movie with Igus.
That's fair. Also, just to like, I think make the days easier. What'd you do in the evening? And then we'll skip back to the story.
Okay, in the evening, I went and hung out with Mutatsu. I got Mutatsu up to 8. So I've been neglecting Mutatsu and Tanaka a lot lately in the evenings because of these other things to do.
Which I get.
And so, this time I finally got him up to 8. I think I have Tanaka and Mutatsu at 8 now.
Nice. I hung out with Mutatsu in the evening, but only at rank 5. So you're doing better. No need to worry. In the day, Tom, you'll never believe it. I hung out with Suimitsu and got him to rank 8.
You're the only human being on the planet who has ever, like, mainlined the Suimitsu story.
I'm his... If there's no fans left of Suimitsu, I'm dead. Anyway, that's what I did reverse day, because let's talk about the evening a little bit, because it's just a fun little gang gathering scene again. Because the gang is expanding yet again.
I didn't expect it this quick.
It happens really back to back when you think about it with Koromaru. Like
I was assuming you would get a character per full moon.
A reasonable assumption, yeah.
That's sort of the pace it's been going at up until now. Not quite, obviously, but roughly-ish. And so,
well,
I was expecting that to be again, but no, you get Ken right away.
Yeah, we got Ken. He's joining. He's at this meeting. They announced that he's joining the team. Akihiko and Mitsuru show some concern at this. There's definitely some apprehension there from their end. Akihiko, asks if he said it was okay. So kind of like, was he pressured into this? Ken says that it was his idea. There's kind of this sort of back and forth balance of like, hey, this is a kid. Are we pressuring him into this moment? Is a little bit of the undertone here.
Given that you're going to send him to fight demons or whatever.
Yeah, kind of a thing we should make sure he's okay with.
And sexy snakes. It's not really PG-13.
They do. I know you haven't maybe gotten there yet, but when Ken fights the sexy snakes, they do put their hands over his eyes so he can't see them directly, like a concerned parent. That's how I watched Wedding Crashers for the first time, with my parents putting their hands in front of my face when there was nudity on screen.
Well, I just love the image of Mitsuru covering Ken's eyes while he's just like stabbing blindly with a
into
spear.
The darkness, at a snake. Just
yeah.
Anyway, he talks about like he finally understands why he has this power, so he wants to do this. There's a little bit of dialogue choice where you can kind of be like, hey, are you sure? Like, we don't want to pressure you, but that's what happens. Ken is in the party, and we now have this new little guy who's going to be with us. He's resolved to fight. We know all that about him, but other than him reading fashion magazines, we haven't really had time to learn about Ken much. So
no, not a ton.
Yeah, he loves coffee and he loves fashion.
He's actually been like weirdly absent from the house in the last week or so too.
Yes,
there's just not really much opportunity to even chat with him there.
Yeah. You can, of course, after this happens, though, go around. I believe there's the group upstairs you can go to of the second years. Yeah. And we learn a little bit about how Ken's preferred weapon is a spear.
Right.
And we also learned that Junpei is really, really excited to be his mentor.
Yeah, he wants to be the older brother.
Yeah, and Yukari is just like, at least it gives him something to do. Keeps the guy busy. I'll take that, I guess. But yeah.
Yeah. That could be good for Junpei.
It could, but as we see, Junpei's got other things on his mind this week.
It's true. I'm excited for that. Let's get to the next day.
We get to on August 29th. Before we get there, of course, the all-important call that there's a new human in Tartarus. Those silly little fools have wandered in, and you need to go collect them. You skip from there, not to your free time, but to, as we said, the first of a couple Junpei scenes this week with the girl that we know from Strega, but who we've not really seen much of. She's sitting drawing again. They both are surprised that they seem to remember each other, or that each of them remember one another. It's kind of funny. He says her outfits are memorable, so of course I'm going to remember you. I like that he tries to ask her about her drawing, and she's just could not care less. She's being really caustic to him. He thinks it's cool that she has this passion. As we know, he's been searching for one of his own. And she's like, I'm just drawing because I feel like it. That's kind of what I'm doing. He wants to see it when she's done. And that's kind of where it leaves. It's just this sort of he is clearly trying to show her interest, show that he is intrigued by what she's doing, and she is keeping him at arm's length.
Yeah, but the reason this scene and the next scene are so interesting to me, and I enjoy them so much, is because all we have seen of Junpei in the context of other women is just this stupid horn dog teenager embarrassing himself and being gross. And in this interaction with this person, he seems very genuine.
Yep.
And he's not being creepy. Like, I mean, yes, he's being creepy in the kind of broader sense of, like, this is a random woman at a train station, stop hitting on her. But he's not, like, he's not laying it on thick. He's not really even, like, doing, like, he leaves the first time. He leaves pretty quick this time, right? Like, he's not... Yeah, like, there are lines that he is crossing that he shouldn't be crossing if she just wants to be left alone. But at the same time, like, everything we've seen of him has been extremely, like, leave this woman alone, Junpei. And, like, I guess the best way to put it is, like, if I was Junpei's friend, every other situation we've seen him with women, I would be embarrassed for, like, that he was my friend.
Yes.
And, like, this interaction, I am not embarrassed by him. You know, he's just sort of chatting with a person he kind of has interest in and is doing so pretty respectfully and pretty genuinely interested in what she's doing and not just looking for an angle, right? And so it's so unexpected that it immediately made me be like, I hope these two fall in love, right? like immediately I was like, I want these characters to be friends because it feels actually sort of genuinely like, oh, this is a cute little way for them to meet.
Yeah, and what I love that you're picking up on that, because I kind of wanted to get to that with the next scene, and we'll get there. But I think, like, by the end of it, there is a bemused interest of and indifference from her. Like, she is still, you know, being sort of the more cold, outwardly, not even cold, but just like stoic and kind of short that she is with him. But
yeah. There's a random dude talking to her while she's drawing.
Yeah, very understandable.
She's very rightly being like, go away.
But then she does start to get a little bit, it feels like, okay, there's like some charm to this guy. And I do think, to your point of like, oh, he is being so much more respectful than he is in any other capacity.
Yeah.
Instantly makes it more of a thing you want to root for. And I do think, I wrote it down here and I mentioned it, but like for me, a big thing of it too is we know that Junpei is like, what is my purpose? Like, what am I doing with my life? And here he is seeing someone who is just so invested in what they are doing, nothing else matters to them. And I think that seeing that be a thing that draws him here, that passion, is really interesting.
And that's the motivation, right? Like that's the cool part about this, is that he's not necessarily trying to interact with this person because she's a girl. Mm-hmm. He's interacting with her because he sees her being passionate about something and is interested in that.
Yeah.
And that's such a cool little important distinction. And also, just separately, on top of that, I love this idea that a member of Strega that we have not really interacted with is going to have some sort of... Like, I like that Strega is introduced as sort of these big bads to some extent, and then we're starting to meet them in lights that I was really not expecting, and the idea that one of your party members might be friends with one of them is a really cool conflict to set up.
Oh, yeah.
It just sets the stage for a lot of really interesting stuff to come.
Absolutely. No, I mean, we're getting, a little bit more of the relationship between your character and Takaya, and then to have this. Jin's probably the one we've seen the least of, but yeah, it's this, again, I think really great, kind of what we've talked about in the past, of just they are taking a route with these characters that they so easily could have been the arch villains that are all like, ha ha ha, we're going to destroy you, and all like mustache twirling, but they're not. And they're doing a really good job with that.
And they're doing that, again, with characters who are introduced to you by shooting a man in the back and enjoying it.
Yeah. And right now it's kind of like, I want to know more about them.
Yeah, it's weird. It's a really successful, it's a very successful sort of twist on what you're expecting, that it actually does make you want to know more about these characters and learn and I want Junpei to like this person, right? Even though I know sort of the extent to which she is messed up or has shown us to be messed up.
For sure. We'll talk more about the next scene too, as well as when we get there. But so this is a weird thing. Is there a day, or does the day skip? Because I think
there's a day.
Okay. I forgot to write down my day.
You hung out with Suemitsu.
Probably. If we're being honest, that's probably what happened. But legitimately,
you don't have to write it down. You didn't write it down because it was the same 3 days.
I just innately knew. Yeah.
So you got him to 9 or something.
Probably. So what did you do with your day?
I saw the hard sci-fi movie with Fuka.
Yes.
And then in the evening, I read with Mitsuru and got her a new ability.
Oh, awesome. Okay, cool. Was that her first ability for you?
Yes.
Okay, cool. I hung out with Tanaka and got him to rank 4. So.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm really behind on those evening ones, so I'm trying to get there.
Yeah, but like you're saying, you were prioritizing a thing that I wish I prioritized, so.
We're getting there in time. It's all working out. I will say I wrote down just a couple of the conversations you can have. Fuka notes that Akihiko has acted a little bit weird since I believe Ken kind of like stepped up. We're seeing that continued cautiousness. He asks us to look after Ken when you speak with him.
Yeah, Sonata's very worried about him.
Yeah. Very, very paternal instinct. And then Junpei is having an existential crisis about what he's into, obviously spurred by his interactions, which is really sweet.
Yeah, he's like, hey, what am I passionate about? What can what can be my thing? And you can just be like, I don't know, figure it out, man.
That's your job, dude. Yeah. I'm not going to just go tell you, I don't know, Pokemon cards. Go buy 1,000 packs. Have fun. Anyway.
Don't do that.
Moving on from there, we get to our evening because our boy Pharos appears.
Yeah, just the simplest, quickest, straightforward dark hour Pharos visit. He's just like, all right, you know the drill. It's 7 days out. The thing is coming. Bye. It's really just a formality at this point.
Absolutely. I literally wrote down, he asks if we're ready and to be careful. That's it.
Thanks, Pharos.
Cool. Thank you. Again, it's definitely a thing of, I think it's good that they keep these up because obviously it keeps him present in your mind. But it feels very much of a time when maybe this was a very new concept for people to keep track of this time. And so this was very helpful to make sure you weren't lagging. But yeah.
Yeah, I think it's very inoffensive, especially with how short this was. If these were, like the...
If they were Edogawa lectures?
No, or if they were even P5 Velvet Room visits.
Oh, sure.
Because P5 Velvet Room visits, sometimes you would get dragged into the Velvet Room to have them just verbosely recap stuff you already knew over and over and over, and then you'd leave, and you'd be like, why that scene could have been an email. Like, it was really... So the fact that they're doing this, but they're also like, it's a week out, move on, it's fine with me.
It works out great. Moving on from there, August 30th, I didn't have enough money to buy the shopping network stuff.
Oh my goodness, really?
Yeah. I was embarrassed.
I've been rolling in it then.
I really bought a lot of stuff the last time after, so I am just out of money.
I think I had like $90,000 before I even went into Tartarus, so...
I didn't. I had no money, so I didn't buy that stuff. I did, however, spend time with that social link that I told you I hung out with last week.
Yeah.
That was new, and got them to rank 2. What did you do for the day?
I met that person.
Nice.
Kimiki?
Yes.
And so this is the thing, is Maiko tells you about this person that has a striped shirt that shows up on Sundays. And I was like, oh, I wonder where they are. And then they haven't shown up for like 2 months. And so this is the first time I finally actually saw them showing up. And you have to find his pen. I found his pen, and then I didn't give it back to him. And instead, I went to a romance movie with Mitsuru because, good God, why would I not?
Sure, of course. Yeah. I could have pegged that from a mile away. Of course, that's what you did. Yeah.
Yeah. And then also, oh no, this is the one that I was, so the charm, this is what I was screwing up. I messed up the order. The charm at the
don't worry, the comments already corrected you. You're fine.
Yeah, I know. The Ninja Wars was academics, and that maybe made sense. This was the mess up, is that you get charm for science, and then you get academics for the romance movie.
Yeah, because you're learning how to be romantic.
So that was the flip, is you get charm for science or for the sci-fi movie and then romance academics for the romance movie, which is just like absolutely backwards. That was what it was.
The language of love is not easy to learn, my friend.
I don't know. The funny part is that Mitsuru like picks the movie apart. She's like start talking about all the plot holes and stuff.
I remember that one, because I also obviously went my first time around and was like, yep, that's about what I expected. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's very on brand for her.
And then that evening I gardened with Igus.
Nice.
I think I'm one away from that one.
Okay. I hung out with Mutatsu and got him to rank 6, but I'm glad you've started the process for this new social link. Francis over at the Patreon had mentioned, this was on last week's episode, he said the new social link appears on the Sunday last week, is I think when he started. So I was like 1 week off. So you weren't missing him this whole time as far as I'm aware?
Sure. Not very long, yeah.
Yeah, but that one's available for you. So
okay.
Yeah,
I'll probably start doing it. I just wanted to keep doing the
movies,
party stuff. That's also why I haven't spent any time with Hayase yet, or like after the first time.
Yeah, I think that's totally fair. On to August 31st. I know how dates work in the words that you say. Moving on to that one, the final day of the month. I can say it. We get another little bit of Junpei, as we mentioned earlier. Junpei shows up yet again to see this girl. He tries to introduce himself, and he's trying to like keep it light and conversational. He's trying to be nice about things. To your point, he wants to actively engage with her and is not trying to overdo it. She blows him off at first, closes her drawing and like starts to walk away, but he notices that her hand is bleeding.
Apparently really badly, because he's like, you need to go to the hospital?
Yeah, it's not just like a paper cut. It is severe enough that he's worried to that extent. He wants to help her. She's like, you should mind your own business. She doesn't get why he's panicking about this. Like, this does not seem to faze her whatsoever. But
yeah,
she
wants
calls
to,
him,
wrap her hand.
Yeah, she calls him weird and just says that her name is Chidori to introduce herself like he did earlier.
Yeah. And then also says that she's almost done with the drawing and says, you know where to find me. So she's definitely, him freaking out and wanting to take care of her hand has endeared him to her in some way.
Yes. Yeah.
And, so now she's okay with him coming back. They're friends.
I do like that. She's like, you won't understand it, but if you want to find it, you know where I am. Yeah. It's cute. Well, that's where we leave Junpei and his would-be friendship, new relationship here. But we'll see where that maybe goes on in the future. For now, what'd you do for the day and night? Just give me the whole thing to wrap things up.
The day I went to I think this is the last movie. I don't think there's another movie with it afterwards.
I don't think so.
Went to a superhero movie with Ken.
Nice.
Newest party member, slipping in right under the wire, gets to go to a movie. And then I watched The Dog Show with the dog. So I watched TV with Karamaru and got his ability, because it was the third time we'd watched the hunting, the Wolfpack show.
Nice. Okay. I also watched TV with Koromaru in the evening, so I did that. During the day, I prayed at the shrine, because there is the Elizabeth quest to do that.
Oh, I apparently have to do that.
So I did it, but obviously I have no money, so I only prayed with 100 yen. It got the job done, and that's what mattered. But moving on from there, that's the end of the week. We did it. That is the end of the film festival, to your point. There is perhaps, if you got thrown in, you might see what starts the next day, but we'll get there next week to discuss what happens. But yeah, it's over, those fun little friendships. I'm glad you did all those. I know it is maybe not the most strategic use of time if you were trying to do a perfect playthrough or whatever, but I think it is really fun and worth doing for those character moments.
As we're getting later into the game, I am admitting to myself I'm just probably not going to get all the social links, and that's fine. And I'd rather just try to get as many social links as I can, but also focus on the things I actually want to be doing. And I'm not going to sweat. Like, one of the reasons I want all the social links is to see as much of those stories as I can, but I'm not going to sweat those when I can get story from characters in a different way.
And if those are characters you care about more, then that's what you should be doing. So it's totally valid.
every time I have to hang out with Tanaka, I'm like, why am I here right now?
I do. That's a thing we can talk about later. I do think, especially at least up until this point, there could be a little more variety in the evening hangouts. But
Sure.
that's why those things, when you get them at home, are so valuable and interesting to do. Not only for the gameplay benefit, but it's like, I just care about these characters more.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
So I'm glad those are here. I think they really go a long way.
Yeah, and all voiced. Again, the fact that they're all voiced is so cool.
It's fantastic. It's really fun. Well, we'll see where the next week and this full moon take us on next week's episode. We are going to, though, before we wrap up, if you're good to go.
Yeah, I just last note is saying
Yes.
I have no idea what to expect from the full moon.
There's not really been a lot of... Yeah.
There's been so little build up to this one. There's been so little foreshadowing with it that I'm just excited to see what happens.
That's fair. We have new party members, but it's not as if they are having a like plot line that is leading to this full moon necessarily.
Yeah, exactly.
That you feel like heavily invested in. We have Junpei's little thing going on, but it's there's so many little people have been having summer vacation. Moving on from there, we are going to briefly touch on the Maya social link.
Yeah.
And
I finished this last week, the week before, something like that.
Sounds about right to me. This is, of course, the Hermit social link. This is the one where you have in your room. You can go on your computer, play a game that you get from Junpei early in the game, I believe. And you start to make friends with this virtual person online. And you learn more about them as it goes on. So obviously we're going to spoil a bit where that social link goes. We're not going to go beat by beat. But give me, since this is now my second time seeing it, what was your takeaway from this social link? What did you think of it?
This one is a what's the way to describe
roller
it?
coaster?
It was a roller coaster of sorts, because like it started uninteresting, and then I started to like it, and then I realized she was a teacher at your school, and I went, oh no. And then I realized where that was going, and I went, oh no. And then you don't actually meet her in person, and everything's sort of fine.
Yeah.
This one could have gone a lot of ways that would not have been good, and instead was just sort of a cute little story about you befriending this person and her venting to you, and then you know the game gets shut down, and it's sad.
Yeah, it's I guess to some extent it's unclear how much she knows about you by the end, to like the degree of how aware she is of who you are. Underagedness. I forget how much that's addressed.
I don't think she really knows, or at least doesn't mention it.
Yeah.
Like she does mention in one of the social lines that she has a crush on you. Mm-hmm. She doesn't know that, she says that she has a crush on one of her students.
Yes.
And that it starts to describe it, and it is you. And she doesn't know that you are this online player.
Yeah.
So that's weird, but also she doesn't ever act on it. Nothing ever happens. I was really expecting this storyline to end with you meeting up with her at some point. Especially when they said the game was shutting down.
Yeah.
I think it's kind of cute and poetic that instead of fighting to try to get the game saved or anything like that, she's just like, hey, this was a nice time, but I shouldn't have been venting at you as much as I was. Like, I'm sorry for that. Goodbye. Like, it was very sad. It was I don't know. It went somewhere I wasn't expecting, and I liked that.
Yeah, I think the tinge of sadness to it is what I appreciate the most about it, because it is, at the end of the day, it's this adult who is using this outlet of a stranger on the internet to vent their emotions away. And at the end of the day, they realize, hey, maybe that's not the healthiest way to deal with what's going on in my life. And it's kind of forced upon them by the closing of the game and them deciding not to act on any of this. But it is nice of a character growth bit to learn. I think I appreciate, because I am with you. I had the same exact expectation, which isn't great, that we both were like, well, we know where this is going, but it's good that it doesn't.
And it is, if we didn't say, it's Miss Toriumi.
Yes.
Who is your English teacher, I believe. Or no, it might just be like your grammar teacher. It's just,
I believe so, yeah.
Which is a great joke, because her spelling and her way she types in the game is just an abomination, right? It is the most slang shorthand ever. So the fact that she is very specifically teaches grammar and writing is a very, very funny joke.
No, totally.
Miss Toriumi also, if you don't remember, way back in the day, was the cake teacher. She was the one I did the quiz about that demanded Kenji bring her a slice of homemade chocolate cake or whatever.
Yeah, I forgot about that. That's cute. It is cringingly forced how much she like does the leet speak stuff.
Yeah.
It is very intentionally. She overdoes it like crazy. This is very clearly like you are getting to see someone at their unvarnished, just relaxing and venting and kind of letting themselves be. And the fact that they trust you, so I think speaks to the reality of a lot of people for MMOs and especially like AOL chat rooms. And obviously those things can go very bad. And there's plenty of episodes of NBC drama shows that go over that stuff, but also a lot of true friendships and, you know, dynamics did form out of those things. And so it's an interesting look at that dynamic at this point.
I definitely thought initially it was a catfish.
Sure.
But
yeah,
that went away pretty quick. Yeah, it's a weird little thing. It's not really a relationship as much as it is sort of like a vehicle to tell a little bit of a story about a person and like glimpse into their life. And I dug it. I dug where it went, and I think because of the way it ended, I ended up liking it more, similar to the Kenji one.
No, this is one where you very much...
Or Miyamoto, excuse me, not Kenji.
No, oh good. You do very much have to... Your part of this relationship is just kind of asking questions or just going like, oh, come on, or just, oh, tell me, or whatever.
Yeah, you're not much of an active participant.
Yeah, to your point, this is very much painting a picture of this person for you. And sometimes that is what a social link is like. They can lean more one-sided, and that's just the reality of it. But it's a interesting look, and then I think changes that facet that you know it exists with this character. So yeah, not much else there. I think, again, to your point, it's a pretty surface level one. So
yeah, but I mourn it being gone because a lot of the other characters you can still say hello to, and now the game is gone.
Yeah, it's sad. Well, that's why you can just keep it going forever. You just hold on to that final one and maybe say goodbye to her at the end of the game. But yeah. Well, it's a cute one to do. Now you have your Sundays free. You can do some of the other ones, but it's a good one to have there. And yeah, for me, I lean more toward it in like the Miyamoto camp than I do the Kenji camp for now.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, moving on from there, just to wrap up a couple of comments from last week's episode. As I mentioned, we did get a comment on YouTube from Kirsten, who said, Japanese learner here, so not fluent yet, but thought I'd give my 2 cents about the Inu versus Ken thing. The kanji for dog can be read either Inu or Ken, because most kanji can be read multiple ways, which makes learning it a nightmare. From what I've learned, Inu can be used on its own. So if you want to say that's a cute dog, you would use Inu. Whereas Ken can only be used as part of a compound noun, such as Afro-Ken. Or Ninon, or Nihon Ken, which would be Japanese dog. To make things more confusing, Inu and Ken have become interchangeable for dog breeds.
Okay, so I was not wildly misremembering when I initially heard Ken's name and was like, dog.
No, so too long didn't read. Koromaru is definitely Ken's long-lost father, and Jonathon just spoiled the end of the game. Thank you, Kirsten. Yes. No, that's, some helpful history for Afro-Ken.
Thank you.
Thought it would help you out there.
That's definitely, it's nice insight, and I'm glad that there was some part of my brain that remembered Ken meaning dog, and I'm glad that was not like fully just me losing my mind like other things are.
Not like the rest of the show is.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, just wanted to read that one before we went through because I thought it was a nice little capper to the conversation we had last week. And speaking of cappers, we'll cap off this month going into the full moon next week. We're going to be doing the days of September 1st through the 7th, just a normal 7 days of a week. That's what we're going to do. We'll talk about the full moon. We'll find out whatever happens. Maybe something, maybe nothing. Maybe they just skip it. Maybe it's one of those months where the full moon doesn't happen. You know, that happens all the time. Right? I don't know how the moon works. Anyway, before we get there, of course, though, Tom, what's your pop quiz for this week?
It's a dog quiz. So hopefully, Jonathan, you're not going to get this one because you didn't take Koromaru to the movie theater.
Meow.
Because I went, wouldn't every single person, everybody's got to have taken Koromaru to the movie theater. So
yeah,
my quiz,
real dirtbag who doesn't do that. That's for sure.
You try to sneak Koromaru into the movie theater. You get caught by an employee. You tell an employee a lie about Koromaru to try to convince them to let you stay, and it doesn't work. What's that lie? What do you say about Koromaru?
I think I might remember that one. Yeah.
That's the quiz. Let us know if you've got an answer. Take your time. Wait.
You always do this. Every
single time. It's like 1,000. It's like keywords just jumbled in my brain. Patreon.com/takeyourtime. YouTube.com/Dornology. Dornology@gmail.com. I'm at Tom R. Marks. He's at JM Dornbush. You can let us know in the comments, any of those places. And we'd love to hear from you. And if you don't know the answer, what's the wildest lie that you could tell about Koromaru to get him into a movie theater?
I thought you were going to just stop at, what's the wildest lie you can tell us?
Yeah.
Please tell us
what's the craziest fake thing? Make something up.
Just anything. Just send in random stories to us.
You know what I also realized is we didn't bring up the What's Tom Holden from last week.
Oh, you're right. Well,
this was the...
I think we were so obscure that you've just...
Yeah.
So I don't know what that's called.
This is a Palico. It's a USB drive of a Palico from Monster Hunter.
Oh.
And so I can just take the head off because that was the thing we were doing. The leg is broken, and then the head comes off because it's the cap for the USB drive.
This has been what's on Tom's desk that was
good podcasting entertainment.
Yes.
Here, I'll just do a knife instead.
Oh, God. It's a good knife.
It's a letter opener.
That's good. Yeah, that looks like a weapon Koromaru would have in his mouth. I'm getting confused with all the dog talk and the names. That's what's happening.
This was a gift, and it's not sharp at all. It's just a little kunai, and I use it to
like that you have to
open letters.
warn about that. I don't know if we get demonetized. Not that. It's like,
no, I'm just like showing people that I'm not being reckless with it. It literally has no edge whatsoever. Jonathan, you're like, what, Tom? What do you have? I'm like, a knife. And it's that meme. You're like, no. End the episode.
I said the a knife no, and then the wasabi help children memes were said very frequently in my home for a couple of years. Yeah. Well, there we go. I don't need help ending this episode, that's for sure. Thank you to everyone out there for listening and for watching. We're excited to get into a dramatic week next week with the full moon. So we hope
it's going to be a busy one.
Yes, looking forward to it. We hope you'll join us for that. And of course, as Tom mentioned, go chat over with people over at Patreon, over at YouTube. Thank you to everyone who's supporting the show for helping us keep the show running. Go check out the recent bonus episodes if you haven't. We're looking forward to the next ones. And other than that, I hope y'all seize the day.